So in this segment, we're going to be discussing two different clips here of the Tories essentially being slammed over missing asylum-seeking children. These are incredibly vulnerable children that the government has once again failed. Hopefully this video goes okay because there's two different clips here and the audio levels are... Twitter is not great at this, but yeah, we moved Caroline Lucas and Yvette Cooper really going after the government over this stuff, so we'll kind of be watching and reacting to these.
Scores of them are going missing, and I can tell the Minister there is nothing specialist about these hotels. We are not asking him to detain children, we are asking the Home Office to apply some basic safeguarding so we can keep them safe.
And maybe that's something the government really, I wish the government did, where they have specific facilities to look after children and have social workers that are there to help them. But the problem is that this government have chronically underfunded a lot of these kind of groups, these councils, and we have huge problems with childcare for vulnerable children in this country. Huge problems.
Does the Minister know how many have been kidnapped, trafficked, put into forced labour? Where they're living? Are they allowed to leave? Are they in school? Well, he should know because the Home Office are running these hotels. They've told me they're commissioning everything from social work to security. But what's still not clear is whether they're prepared to take legal as well as practical responsibility.
And the question is, who's running security? Most likely it's probably like G4S or one of those companies. But how well are they doing if, children are going missing from these places? They're clearly not doing a good job. How well are they doing monitoring, making sure these children are there? What are they doing when children go missing, for example? What's happening here? What's the situation? That's what we need to know.
Meanwhile, these children are in legal limbo. I was told before Christmas that government lawyers were deliberating over their ultimate legal responsibility. We need to know the outcome today. What is it? We need to know why successive Home Secretaries have played into the hands of criminal gangs. The Minister will talk of new money being given to local authorities, but where will they get the foster care capacity? He knows it's in seriously short supply.
And, we're in a situation where, long term, I'm guessing the government wants these children to be put into foster care, but you have to make money available so people can do that, And as we move into a country where people don't move out of their houses, there isn't a lot of space to to look after people, for people to foster kids. When we live in a country where people's own kids can't move out, there's not a lot of space here. There's not a lot of opportunities to foster kids. You're looking at couples without children, which typically they want their own kids, biologically speaking. So there's a lot of issues here that the government just failed to address and have created systemic problems that are causing more and more issues long term.
Brighton and Hove City Council has been raising concerns about the dangerous practice of using these hotels for 18 months. And as the Honourable Member for Hove has made clear on many occasions, and I pay credit to his tireless work on this, it was entirely foreseeable that children were at risk of being snatched, abducted and coerced by criminals. Has the Minister taken up offers of help from charities working with children? What is the response to the migration watchdog's finding that some staff in these hotels were not DBS checked?
God, if they weren't GPS, oh my God, that's terrifying. That is, so DBS checks are to make sure no one has like a criminal history. Typically they'll look at everything, especially for child protection reasons. If you weren't working in a school, they do an enhanced DBS check on you. Like, Jesus Christ, man, if it's the case that staff haven't been DBS checked, that's a huge failure of government. That's a nightmare scenario for a lot of children. It gets worse and worse with this lot.
What role is the Children's Commissioner playing? Why isn't
Oh, and if they're ignoring help from charities, that's a dereliction of duty, because you have people who are offering to help you deal with this, and obviously you have to make sure they're DBS checked, amongst other things. But the point is, if charities are offering to help and the government is refusing it or has ignored them, that's just shambolic.
Instead, inspecting these hotels on a regular basis. Will he commit to publishing regular data on missing children, how long they've been missing, whether they're still missing, when they went missing? Where is the special operation to find the missing children? This feels like the plight of girls in Rotherham, who were treated like they didn't matter, and frankly, it is sickening. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, the use of these hotels must stop. When will that actually happen?
And, the question is, are MPs going to get a purpose-built facility, especially for looking after vulnerable children? I doubt they're going to do that. And as long as that, doesn't change, then I think they're going to continue to use hotels.
Mr. Speaker, the staggering complacency and incompetence from the Home Office is shameful. We need immediate answers, we need an urgent investigation, and we need to ask how many more children are going to go missing before we actually see some action.
100% I agree with her. And Yvette Cooper's clip is It's more damning, I think, for a lot of reasons. But in one of the hotels, 1 in 4 children have gone missing. Half of them still not found, and you're talking hundreds of children here. You're not talking 10 or 15. You're talking hundreds of children that have gone missing here in this situation.
The report from Sussex Police is that 1 in 4 unaccompanied children in a Home Office hotel have gone missing. 1 in 4. And around half of them are still missing. It would appear from the figures that he's given that this means one hotel accounts for 40% of the missing children.
It wouldn't surprise me if the government booked out an entire hotel, just because it would be easier if they did that to house people. I would not be surprised if that's the case, and it would make sense that one hotel would have the majority of children and therefore the missing children.
And a whistleblower has said, children are literally being picked up from outside the building, disappearing and not being found. They are being taken from the street by traffickers. We know from Greater Manchester Police.
Hold on. So from this situation, what we can learn is that there's no registration system. There's no system to make sure that the kids that do go outside come back inside. There's no monitoring of them, not straight away. So we don't know how long they go missing for until the police are called. I think the police generally make you wait 48 hours, but I think in this case, you might not have to wait as long, because where are they going to go realistically if they're not being kidnapped? It's just shambolic from this government.
Police, they've warned asylum hotels and children's homes are being targeted by organised criminals, and in this case,
children's homes. So these will be like kids that are native to this country that are being kidnapped as well, by the sounds of it, which is just as terrifying, to be honest. That they're just getting away with this. These gangs are getting away with this, and no one's dealing with it.
There is a pattern here. The gangs know where to come to get the children, often likely because they trafficked them here in the first place. There is a criminal network involved, and the government is completely failing to stop them. They are letting these gangs run amok. Last year there was only just one conviction for child trafficking, even though it's now believed to involve potentially thousands of British children, as well as these children being targeted here.
As well as, you mean the asylum-seeking children? I don't know why she didn't just say it there. It seems a bit weird. But point being is that you've got children that are being targeted to be trafficked, which shows you how bad these criminal gangs are, but how bad the governmental systems are at dealing with these gangs. But what it looks like is that these gangs might, traffic people, into Calais, get them over the English Channel, and then figure out which kind of hotels they're going to be staying at, which ones are going to be used, and then taking them from those hotels to, who knows what in this country. Genuinely, who knows what they're being taken to, work in sweatshops or worse. This is not a good situation.
So where is the single coordinated unit involving the National Crime Agency, the Border Force, the South East Regional Organised Crime Unit, the local polices, to hit the gang networks which are operating around this hotel and across the Channel? Why are they still refusing to boost the National Crime Agency, and why have they repeatedly ignored the warnings about this hotel and about unregulated accommodation for 16 and 17-year-olds being targeted by criminal gangs? It is unbelievable.
And, the fact is that you can't blame, criminals in France and people traffickers in France, because these are people being taken from hotels in Britain to be trafficked to God knows where. That's the situation we're looking at right now. So the fact is, you can't blame France. You can't blame, these smugglers that are, living in caves or wherever the hell excuses the government want to use here. This is happening in this country right now. What are the government doing about it? And, I agree with people. There should be a task force, something set up where you can get these different agencies to link up and deal with the situation here, because they are being picked up from hotels. So the question is, who is doing that? Why aren't these people being monitored much more closely? The ones that are going to these hotels, it must be the same sorts of people constantly going there to, kidnap children. What's happening here? Why is nothing moving? That's the key question.
Still no clarity about whether the Home Office or the Council are legally responsible for these children. So will the Home Office now agree to immediately end the contract with this hotel and move the children out to safer accommodation? Will they set up a proper inquiry and team to pursue the links between organised crime, trafficking and the children in these hotels? Because this is a total dereliction of duty that is putting children at risk. We need an urgent and serious action to crack down on these gangs and to keep children and young people safe.
The truth of the situation is that the police don't really care, because these are vulnerable kids without their parents aren't here. No one's going to kick up a fuss for them. No one's in their corner. No one's going to fight for them. We've seen police do this before, where we've seen cases. I think in Rotherham, for example, where they tried to say, "Oh, we don't want to cause a stink in the Asian community." That's nonsense. They didn't want to do their duty, because these were kids where they were either in care or they were living in vulnerable families where no one was going to fight for them. No one was in their corner. There was a point made. Do you think they just did it to white vulnerable kids in Rotherham? No, they would have done it to anyone they could get their hands on. Anyone they could get their hands on. And we're in a situation right now where the government, it's a dereliction of duty. The government are not looking after some very vulnerable kids here from abroad that are seeking asylum in this country, that may have been trafficked here from France, or would have been trafficked here potentially from Albania, or whichever country they are from, in multiple different countries. Don't want to just pick on Albania here. Shouts out Albania. But we have a situation where this is happening. We can't. The situation in France is not a lot we can do about it, apart from set up facilities in France for people to have their applications heard, which would be very important. But we can stop people from being kidnapped in hotels in this country. Like, the idea that we can't is just ludicrous. And I just want to bring you to the attention of probably one of the worst MPs in Parliament, Jonathan Gullis, who, when this story was being talked about, when Tulip Siddiq mentioned to the Prime Minister in PMQs, I think it was, about the welfare of the 200 unaccompanied children who have gone missing, Tory MP Gullis apparently said, quote, "Well, they shouldn't have come here illegally," end quote. And Gullis, the fact that this man was an educator, he's a teacher, genuinely painful. I feel sorry for anyone he was teaching. Was he still was he a scumbag when he was a teacher, or did he become a scumbag when he became part of the Tory party? I don't know. Maybe it was when he was a Tory MP. But this man's an idiot, because it's not illegal to seek asylum. Absolute moron this guy is. Jonathan Gullis, if you did vote for him, please vote him out at the next election. And if you continue to vote for him, you too are a scumbag, and I've got no time for you. Anyways, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. And I don't really curse on this channel, but fuck you, Gullis. And I'll catch you in the next one.